Let's go to Republican governor, the former governor of Maryland, the national co-chair of the No Labels. Larry Hogan is here with us. I mean, we had a lot of things that we wanted to talk to you about, but given this breaking news, this is a party that you've been a member of for a long time. What do you make of what's happening on Capitol Hill?
Well, I think it's showing that it's nothing but divisiveness and dysfunction in Washington, and I think the average person is just kind of disgusted by it. And I think Matt Gaetz is a poster child for everything that's wrong with Washington and why they have a 15% approval rating for Congress. And I don't think the average person is really following the palace intrigue as much as we are about who's going to be the speaker, but they are pretty frustrated that we're not talking about the economy, that we're not actually coming together to get things done. And I think, instead of focusing on things like the economy, which the Republicans should be doing, because polls show voters approve of Republicans on the economy by 20 points over Democrats. We're not talking about that. We're talking about, we're following Trump trials and fights over speakership.
Yeah, it seems to raise the question of, can Republicans govern? I mean, they have the House majority on Capitol Hill, and this is what it looks like tonight.
Well, it's not helping the campaign, that's for sure, because it looks like we're dysfunctional. And frankly, I think the Democrats are enjoying watching that happen. So it's going to be interesting to see. I don't think there's enough Republican votes to remove the speaker, but it's going to make us look like we can't lead.
Well, what if the fight on Capitol Hill is over Ukraine funding? And I know that this is something that you've supported Ukraine. When you were governor, you sent them a multi-million-dollar package. Kevin McCarthy stripped that Ukraine funding from what they passed on Saturday to keep the government funded. I mean, what kind of message does that send to Kyiv and to Moscow? Well,
it sends a terrible message. And I think it says not just to Kyiv and Moscow, it sends a message to all of our enemies that, they no longer fear us, and our allies, that we're no longer going to, support them. And it's not, look, even if you don't care about standing up for freedom and democracy or supporting our allies, it's in America's best interest to make sure that, you give them everything that we can give them to get this war done. You don't want to open check, but these folks, these Republicans haven't spent much time at the Reagan Library. I can tell you that. They don't know about the importance of peace through strength. And I think this is a big mistake, this big fight over not funding Ukraine. I think a number of the Republicans on the debate stage agreed with that. But some of these folks in Congress just don't seem to understand the importance of it.
Yeah, that number is growing of those who don't support it on Capitol Hill, and at least in the House. You mentioned the other aspect of what we've been covering today, which was Donald Trump here in court for his day one of his civil trial, which he didn't actually have to be there. But what does it say to you, as someone who was asked many times if you were going to run for president, when you see the Republican frontrunner there in court instead of out on the campaign trail?
Well, I think it's a huge distraction, and it's sucking all the oxygen out of the room. So I'm proud that we have a lot of great Republican candidates are up on that debate stage, but they're getting no traction because no one's paying attention. And instead of focusing in on the issues and talking about how we're going to fix the economy and what we're going to do about crime in our cities and debating about funding for Ukraine, we're spending time watching Donald Trump's trials. And you talk about the Donald Trump trial. Well, which one? I mean, it's every day. It's a different thing. And all throughout the primaries, it's going to be court TV instead of why can we do a better job of leading?
Well, it has clearly hit a nerve for him. I mean, if you listen to him today, he was so angry as he came out. It used to be in real estate, you had a firm before you became governor. Why do you think it is hitting such a nerve with Trump?
Well, I think it's potentially going to cost him real money. I mean, it's going to hurt his business, and he may lose $250 million. But I think it's part of it is theater. I mean, it did strike a nerve, but he didn't have to be there. He went there because this is part of his attention to attack the judge, attack the prosecutor.
He's fundraising off of it.
He's fundraising off of it, and he wanted to make a big show. It's kind of a typical, same pattern that we see from Trump all of the time.
Is it appropriate for him to be fundraising off of this?
No, it's not, and it's not appropriate, but it's pretty typical.
You toyed with the idea of running. You are not running for the Republican nomination. You have left open the door to run as a third-party ticket. When you see something like that today, do you get closer to that?
Well, look, I think about 70% of the people in America do not want Donald Trump or Joe Biden to be president. And, we're at a strange place where we've never been in this country where, 44% of the people are independent. 68% say they'd like another alternative. But I don't know if it makes sense or not. It's not something I'm pursuing. I got involved in this No Labels group because it's all about bipartisanship and working together and finding common ground and compromise to get things done. And that's what I've been all about for 8 years as governor. But this, you saw the Robert F. Kennedy Jr. came out. He's at 19% in the polls as an independent. Imagine if we had a sane independent candidate, how much you could be pulling.
Is that a yes or a no?
I think it's too early to decide. My hope is still that we can possibly nominate someone other than Trump. And I'm hoping that, frankly, Joe Biden is not the Democratic nominee. I mean, they're the two weakest candidates with the two lowest approval rating in history, and it's not what America wants.
But it sure seems like Trump's going to be the nominee if the election was tomorrow.
It seems like it would be. And, Joe Biden is the one that's going to enable him because he's the weakest candidate to run against him.
So no yes or no?
No yes or no. I haven't ruled it out, but
When's
it's not something
timing?
I'm
When are you
pursuing.
going to decide by?
I think we're going to wait and see after Super Tuesday what happens with these two candidates.
Former Maryland Governor Larry Hogan, thank you for being here on set with us tonight.
Thank you, Caitlin.